Yo, what's going on YouTube? In today's video, we're going to go over the best settings to use in Black Ops 6 Season 1 for AMD CPUs and AMD GPUs. But don't worry, you can also use this if you have NVIDIA as well. But first up, if you have high ping and packet loss in Call of Duty, it can become very laggy and very frustrating. To combat this and to reduce packet loss and latency, we use a piece of software called GearUp. GearUp is used by a lot of pros to reduce ping and packet loss in-game to give you a much smoother experience. It's easy to use. All you got to do is open up the program, select your game, and choose the server you want to connect to. They guarantee no packet loss, and with their smart server selection, it will connect you to the most stable network at the lowest ping. It will reduce your latency, and you can check on this in the program just to see how much lower it is. I managed to get between 30 and 50 less ping, making it way easier to hit my shots. And GearUp is totally safe to use and completely unbannable. And if you're on console, they got you sorted with the HyperRev game router, which will also reduce your latency and packet loss to help with a smoother console gaming experience. So if you want to improve your ping and have no packet loss, try GearUp by clicking the link in the description or in the pinned comments. And let me know down in the comments just how much lower you can get your ping by using GearUp, today's video sponsor. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so first up, we're going to go into our settings and we're going to go into controller settings. Now make sure that your input is selected on controller or a mouse if you play on a mouse and keyboard. Button layout, I play on tactical. This is how I've always played. I have back buttons that I use. So if you like, change it to tactical or put it back onto default, whichever works for you. If you have a standard controller, default is absolutely fine. Stick layout preset we have set to default. Stick sensitivity. Now this changed with the new update. It is no longer a number digit from 1 to 20. It is now a numerical digit. So 1.4 and 1.2 is roughly a 6.5. So 1.6 would be a 7, and 1.6 for vertical would also be a 7 if that's what you played on the last season, and you go up by increments of 0.2 from there. So set it to whatever works best for you. Test it out in game, see what works. For me, a 6.5 works best. I don't want to, be going up and down too much with the vertical, so I set mine a little bit lower on the 5 sensitivity at a 1.2. Simplify control presets off, lower motion strain preset off, bumper ping off, swap R1 and L1 with L2 and R2. You can do this if you use the opposite buttons to shoot and to ADS. Controller vibration, we make sure that's turned off. We don't want anything distracting us while we're trying to get our shots. So make sure controller vibration is turned off. I've always had that off every Call of Duty. Trigger effect, we have that off as well. Dead zones. Now this is very important. Your dead zones. You can test this over here and you can see it's slightly minus 1% and the vertical is -3, -2. I like a little bit of stick drift. It does give you automatic aim assist, which is good because your stick is basically always moving. So make sure you can test those. Your left stick min should be lowest possible. For me, I have it set to 0. Like I said, I like a little bit of stick drift. Don't mind it. If you don't want the stick drift, you can bump this up. Try not to go past 3 though. If you go past 3, might look at getting a new controller because you've probably got a lot of stick drift. So I set mine to 0. Left stick max, we have this set to 60. Right stick min, we have set to 1. Once again, if you've got stick drift on the right stick, you can change this and alter this, but I have mine set to 1. A little bit of drift. 1 seems to get rid of it. Right stick max set to 99. This is very important. Left trigger and right trigger, set those all the way down to 0. And that is it for that. Aiming, sensitivity multiplier. Now, the only one I changed in here is the ADS multiplier, ADS sensitivity multiplier. Now, this is what we used to change back in the previous Call of Duties. I set mine down to 0.85. It's defaulted to 1. Give it a try, see what works best for you. 0.85 seems to be good for me. Look inversion on foot, I have this set to standard on inverted. Aiming, advanced settings. Look inversion, we don't touch this at all. We don't want anything inverted. ADS sensitivity transition time, and this is important. Set this one to instant, not gradual, not after zoom. Set this to instant. Third person ADS correction type, I think it's default set to assist, so make sure it's on assist. Aim response curve type, we do have this set to dynamic. You can play around with linear, but I have it set to dynamic, always have. This has always worked well for me. Aim response curve slope is at 1. You can play around with this as well, but 1 is the default and there seems to be no issues for myself. Custom sensitivity per zoom, we have this set to off. We don't really play around with this one at all. Over to movement, sprint assist, we have this on tactical sprint assist. And with the sprint assist delay, make sure that's set to 0. And the sprint assist sideways and backwards, we have both turned on. Mantle assist, we have turned off. Sideways, it's all off anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. Crouch assist we have turned off. Corner slice, now this is where you go in the corners and you sort of lean left and right as you approach a corner. I don't really like it in this new Call of Duty, so I have it turned off. But if you prefer it, turn it on. Side dive behavior, You can change this to hybrid if you wish, where you get to slide and dive at the same time. So basically to dive, you would click in your left and right thumbstick, or you can have this set to slide only. I have on slide only. I've been diving too much to just silly things, so I have it set to slide only. Sprint restore, I have this turned on. Play around with this one. I'm not sure really if I like this or not just yet. So basically what it does, allows you to resume sprinting after various actions without being required to press L3 again. Basically, if I'm reloading or sliding and then I want to sprint again afterwards, mid-slide, I keep that one turned on. Slide, maintain, sprint, that's the same thing. Continue sprint after slide. There we go, what I just said. But continue to sprint after performing slide. So I have that one turned on. Parachute behavior, there's no parachutes, don't worry about it. Mantle cancels reload, we have that turned off. We don't want to be accidentally mantling or something while we're trying to reload. Make sure that's turned off. Movement, advanced settings. Sprint, tactical sprint behavior, we're set to toggle. Auto move forward, off. Auto door peek, we have that off. Tactical sprint activation, single tap sprint. Make sure that's on single tap sprint, that one's important. Plunging underwater, I want to be able to do that freely so I can press my thumbsticks to go down rather than hold down my triggers to go up and down. I just use my thumbsticks to guide myself. Sprint to door bash, make sure that one's also on as well. Vehicle behaviors, vehicle advanced settings. Well, we don't really have too many vehicles, so I don't really worry about those. Combat settings, aim down sight behavior on hold, weapon mount activation ADS plus melee, dedicated melee weapon activation hold melee, body shielding, body shield slash finishing move behavior. Now, if you want to pick up the guy who you just shot or down or whatever the case may be, make sure you set this to prioritize body shield. I prefer this, it's way more fun. Or you can do it on finishing move only, where it performs the finishing move of your character. But prioritize body shield is my go-to. Armor plate, this will be good for, there's one game mode where you have armor plates in Black Ops 6. Apply all, set it to apply all. C4 detonation, one by one. I want to throw one at a time, then blow it up, not two, and then have to blow it up. It takes too long. The enemy's pretty much moved away by then. Equipment behavior, we have set to hold. Manual fire behavior on press. Combat advanced settings, we don't change too much in here. Interact reload behavior, this is important. Make sure we go to prioritize reload. On prioritize reload, it basically means that it's going to reload your gun instead of picking up stuff around you on the ground. So make sure it's prioritize reload in Black Ops 6. Sprint cancels reload, make sure that is turned off. That's really annoying if that's turned on. If it's on by some silly reason, make sure you turn that one off. Cam behavior is independent. I want to shoot both guns at different times, so I can shoot one gun on the left, one gun on the right from running in combos. Make sure it's on independent. ADS stick swap off and depleted weapon ammo switch. I have this turned on. If I run out of ammo, it does switch your gun. It's a lot quicker. I prefer it. All right, over to the graphics settings. Now for this, your display mode is on full screen. Obviously, generally full screen exclusive. This will give you the lowest amount of input latency or lag or anything like that. I play with multiple monitors, so I have it on borderless, so it doesn't basically minimize my game every time I'm switching to a monitor. So make sure you choose one of those two. They're the best ones to use. So I'll select exclusive for this demonstration here. Display monitor, make sure it's on your current monitor you're using. See, I've got three. My main one's this MSI Mag at the top here, 240 Hz. Display adapter, make sure it's on your graphics card, which is my AMD Radeon 7900 XTX. That's my GPU. Screen refresh rate, make sure it's on the highest. It's on auto and it's lower than this highest, so we'll set it to the highest because that's what it should be. 240 is my monitor, so it's set to 240. Display resolution, make sure this is on. If you're on 1080, it's going to be, I believe it's 1920 by 1080. For me, I'm a 1440p monitor guy, so 2560 by 1440. Aspect ratio, we just said it's automatic. Restart your shaders if you want. It just will basically restart your shaders. We all know what that is at the start of the game, especially after every new season. Display gamma, we've set to 2.2 sRGB. That is the best. Game brightness, I have mine set to 55. Play around with it. Whatever's going to work best for your monitor, I have mine set to 55. Eco mode preset on custom. VSync gameplay off, VSync menus off, custom frame rate we currently have on unlimited. You can set this to your monitor's refresh rate if you prefer though. It basically kind of maybe will give you a little bit less screen tearing as well, but I don't notice any difference, so set it to how you like. Render menu resolution, set it to native. Pause game rendering off, reduce quality when inactive off, focus mode all the way on 0. HDR, we set this one to automatic, just put it on automatic, don't ask me why. All right, quality tab here, graphics preset. Now it may be selected on one of these when you first boot the game. When you change a setting, it will boot into a custom sort of preset here. So one's going to be on custom. Render resolution, make sure that's at 100. You can lower it, it will give you more frames, but the quality of the game will go down. So 100 is where you want to be at. Dynamic resolution, make sure we turn that off. Upscaling, sharpening. The best one's going to be Fidelity CAS. This is the same in last Call of Duty, same in the last season as well. Make sure it's set to Fidelity CAS at a 95 strength. AMD FSR frame generation. This is, for me, this is new. I really don't like it. It gives you so much input latency. It will boost your frames by about double, but you don't want it on. It will just give you so much more input latency. Make sure that's turned off. VRAM scale target, we have it set to 80. Variable rate shading, we make sure that is set to on, because this will actually boost your frames. Make sure variable rate shading is turned on. This VRAM scale target I have talked about, I have it set to 80, but you can boost it all the way up to 90 if you wish. I just prefer it at 80 just in case it doesn't use all my resources and crash the game, basically, which we all know is frustrating. Down to details and texture. Text resolution we have set to normal. If you have a lower end GPU, you can set this to low or very low. Will give you more frames, but normal will give you a good balance of quality and FPS. Texture filter anisotropic. We have this set to, I'm going to set that one on high actually. Make sure they're set to high, not ultra. Depth of field we have off. Detailed quality we have on low. Particle resolution we have set to normal. Bullet impacts we have on. I prefer my bullet impacts on. I want to see where my bullets are going, basically. I enjoy this more as a in-game experience thing rather than a FPS thing. It will give you like 1 or 2 FPS. Have it off, but what does it really matter? Persistent effects we have off. Shader quality on low. On-demand texture trimming we have it on optimize. At your allocated texture cache size should be however much RAM you've got. So I've got 64 gig of RAM. I set mine to 64. If you've got 32, set it to 32. Local texture streaming quality we also have set to low. Shadow and lighting. Shadow quality very low. Screen space shadows off. Occlusion and screen space lighting we have off. Screen place reflections on normal. Static reflection quality on low. Environment, the tessellation on all. Volumetric quality low. Deferred physics quality off. Weather grid volume quality off. Water quality all off. Make sure those are turned off. All right, over to the view tab. Motion reduction preset we have off. We don't want that on. This will give you a preset of all the settings. We don't really need that. Field of view, I have it set to 120. You can play around with it. Set it between somewhere like 107 to 120. Don't go less than 107. If you do go a little bit less than 120, that's okay, because it probably will give you, maybe they say, a little bit more aim assist. But don't go around changing it all the time. I have mine set to 120. I've had it set to 120 for the last, I don't know, 4 years. So if you play on 110 and set it to 110, if you want to try 107, just don't keep switching it back and forth, because you will get used to it and then you'll go switch back and it'll be different. Just set it to something and stick there for a while. ADS field of view, make sure it's on affected, not independent. Weapon field of view we set to wide. Third person field of view on 90. Vehicle field of view set to wide also. Camera, we have got world motion blur set to off. Weapon motion blur set to off. First person camera movement at least 50. Third person at least 50 as well. Third person ADS transition at third person. Inverted flashbang, this is where if you're hit by a flashbang, it either flashes white or it flashes black. For me, I prefer it to be black. I don't want to be blinded by the white light, so I have this set to on for inverted flashbang. And you can also run a benchmark. It's the benchmarks tool that is based in the game as well. Over to the audio tab. For audio, so this, I have my gameplay music all the way off. Dialogue volume at 10. Effects volume, this is where your footsteps are at. Make sure that's on 100. And cinematic music volume we have set to 0. For your speakers, headphones, game sound, output, whatever it is, I use the Artist Wall tune. So this is a tune that is done on a PC through Artist Wall. He's on YouTube. Look him up. Great guy. Has an amazing tune. It makes you hear more footsteps in games. If you don't have this and you're on a console or a PC, you don't want to do it, just select your headset, basically. Make sure your headset is selected right here. Speaker output, just Windows default. For me, I'm putting on 7.1 surround, but it should be on Windows default. Enhance headphone mode. Now, this is a headphone mode where yeah, I mean, this thing here, I don't really like it. I have this turned off. It's supposed to give you a little bit more depth of footsteps, but I don't really like it, so I have it turned off. You can also buy a custom configuration, which I think is a bunch of rubbish, so don't waste $20 buying that. So I have that one turned off. Audio mix we have set to Treyarch. You can also try Sucker Punch, which is really good for isolating the footstep sounds as well. I did prefer Sucker Punch quite a lot, but now I'm back on Treyarch mix. Mono audio we have turned off. Mute game we minimize off. Mute licensed music, I stream, so I prefer this. Basically mutes the licensed music, anything I can hear that might get me in trouble. Asymmetrical hearing, this is if you have a problem with, say, audio in your left ear and your right ear. Say your left ear can hear more than your right ear, and your right ear is a little bit less, it's more dull, you don't hear as much. You can turn this on and play around with the frequencies of the left and right channel. But if you've got normal ears, turn this one off. Functionality, reduce tonalized sound. We have this one on. It reduces the sounds from concussions and flashbangs and things like that. So make sure you turn this one on as well. The market preset, mine's on default, but you can play around. Try classic, mix it up. That one's fun to change around. Voice chat, I have mine set to whatever's going to be best for your ears. Basically, in your headset, we're set to 6. Voice chat is on. Proximity chat, body shield chat, and last words chat we all have on. We want to hear those comms from our enemies. Game chat, we also have it on all lobby. Voice chat output is going to be whatever your headset is. For me, it's my system. It's through my Go XLR. So make sure it's on your headset. We want it basically coming back through to your headset. Microphone level, we have set it to roughly whatever it sounds good for your teammate. So 25 is fine for me. That's for in-game. Test microphone, you can also test. As you can see, I can test it in-game. And that's how it sounds for my enemies when I'm trying to talk to them. Microphone mode, push to talk. Open mic is generally going to be the best one for you. So any teammates you're playing with, say not using a third-party app like Discord, they'll be able to hear you in the game. So make sure it's on open mic. And your microphone input device is whatever microphone you've got. If it's on your headset, it's probably going to be your headset. Over to the interface tab. So in here, we're going to change a few things around. I have gameplay tips on, tutorials on, skip introduction movie. We're going to make sure that one's turned off as well. Skip kill cam. We want that off. I want to see those kill cams, right? Let's be honest. Tooltips we have on as well. Telemetry. So if you're on a PC, you'll be able to see these things in your top left corner. I think you might be able to get some of these on console as well. For me, I just like my FPS counter, server latency, and packet loss. I want to know exactly what's going on with the server and the game I'm playing on. Into telemetry size labels, so you can make it larger or smaller. So I can boost that one up and makes it bigger. Small is fine for me. I can read just fine. Network in-game alert icons, we have those on. It shows when you've got packet loss or some sort of issue going on in the server with the game in the left side of the game. Hardware in-game alert icons, we have that one turned on as well. Readability, for this we're going to go down to color customization and we're going to change this here, color filter settings. Color filter, we want to set this color filter to, and we're also going to set color filter target to both. All right, and here you're going to put world color intensity at 100 and interface color intensity at 100 as well, and that's going to make your game pop more in color. It's going to be a lot brighter. Change your team, party, whatever it is you want to whatever color you prefer the most. But for the most important one, color filter target, make sure those are turned on to filter to and both. Gameplay HUD, you can mess around with your HUD settings and everything like that wherever they land, whatever. This is a preference thing. For HUD bounds, you can change whereabouts those sort of your mini map and your kill score, streaks, and all that sits. You can pull it down and closer in if it's better for you. Minimap shape, make sure this is on square. This is most important. It's got to be on square. Square is a bigger shape than a circle. We all know that. Minimap rotation on, radar off, compass type on minimap, vehicle HUD prompts fade after 10 seconds. We don't want them on forever, right? In-game text chat we have on so we can read what everyone's typing in the game. Player names, full name, crosshairs. Right here you can change the color of your crosshair as well. I have my crosshair dot on and my dot scale is set to larger. This just makes it a little bit easier for me to see sort of where I'm aiming my crosshair and also to keep my centering on as well. Crosshair spread we have turned to off. Crosshair opacity we have at 100%. We want to make sure we set it at all times. Crosshair color. Now this is where you can change the color of your crosshair. So play around with this. I think cyan works the best. Some say red works the best. Some say green works the best. Play around whatever you prefer in the game. But this is one of those cool customizations that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 brought in. Make sure you choose something that you prefer. All right. So when we go back to the gameplay HUD, not too many more things. Hit marker visuals on. Damage hit markers on, of course. What are these things? Widget visibilities. These are just how visible they are. We make sure those are at 100%. We want to see our widgets at all time. All right, so there is everything for the in-game settings. Next, we're going to get into the AMD Radeon settings. Let's jump into that. All right, so here we are in the AMD Radeon software. We're going to go over this one quickly. There is a few good things in here that will help your game make it look better and give you extra bit of performance as well. So first thing we want to do is we're going to go over to check for updates, make sure the game is current up to date with the most recent driver. For this one is 24.12.1. This is on the released on the 27th of the 11th apparently. So just click check for updates and make sure your game's up to date and you do the update as well. Now next we're going to go over to the settings tab. And we're going to check out some of these ones. Check for updates we have automatically on. Download drivers and software. I like to have this disabled because sometimes it will download a driver that isn't the best suited for Call of Duty. So I want to be able to make sure I check into the driver first before I update it. So make sure you have this disabled if that's what you want to do. There's a few other things in here, but they're not really relevant. In display tab, we're going to go check this one out, GPU scaling and things like this. So let's have a look into the display tab. AMD FreeSync, we have this one turned off. It's not supported on my monitor. If you do have it, do try it out, see what it is like, because it does reduce input lag as well. So if you've got AMD FreeSync or G-Sync, I think it's called, make sure you turn that one on as well. Virtual Super Resolution, we have this one turned off. GPU scaling, we have disabled. Scaling mode, we have set to preserve aspect ratio. We don't want to change that one too much. Integer scaling, we don't want that on as well. So for color depth, this one is important. Set this one to 8BC. You can try set it to the highest. It just doesn't work for me for some reason. So I think 8BC is set the best for my monitor. Pixel format, have this one set to RGB 4x4x4. This is the only one you want to use. RGB 4x4x4 is the pixel format you want. Display color enhancement, we have this one as disabled as well. For your custom color, now this is for your global setting custom color, you have this one enabled, have a color temperature control enabled, and it will give you these sort of default presets. The only one I'm changing here is saturation in the game. Play around with this. I have it set to about 160 just to give it that more blue and green and red colors. They pop out more in the game and give it a better look overall. So this will help you improve your colors and visibility in the game, increasing certain colors to make the game pop and stand out basically. Over to the gaming tag. So if I go to the gaming tab, I can select graphics over here, and this is my global gaming experience. If you want to change just a specific game's settings, you just find your game on the list here. So I can select Call of Duty, and I can basically change my settings in here, which we'll go over in the global gaming experience. If you want to change a game to use global gaming experience, you just click down here and click use global gaming experience. All right, so let's go back to the gaming tab, and we go over to graphics right here. All right, now we're back in the graphics tab. We're going to go through these settings real quick. Radeon Super Resolution, we make sure this is disabled. AMD Fluid Motion Frames, disabled. Radeon Anti-Lag, we currently have this disabled. We've had this on in most other videos, but we're playing around with something. Just try it disabled and see what it's like for you in game. It does sort of conflict with Radeon Chill, which we have on, which we'll go over in just a second as well. Radeon Boost we have disabled. Radeon Chill, this is the one I just talked about. Now this is basically a frame rate limiter, which will give you basically less input lag, and it limits basically your in-game FPS. So I have this one on. We're going to try it out. We have this one turned on. Idle FPS and peak FPS. Make sure those are set to the same number. Set it to your monitor's resolution. Mine's a 240 Hz monitor. That's what I'm setting both at right now. Image sharpening we have disabled. We use sharpening in game with fidelity cast, so we don't need image sharpening. Video upscale, we don't want that on, so turn it off. Radeon enhanced sync off. Wait for vertical refresh rate, always off. Frame rate target control disabled. Anti-aliasing, use application settings. Anti-aliasing method, multi-sampling. This is what you want to use for the max FPS in game. Morphological anti-aliasing we've disabled. And anisotropic filtering, we make sure this is enabled and set to the highest, which is 16 times. This basically gives you, improves your texture clarity while minimizing visual noise and sparkle. So we want that clarity the most in the game. If you're having issues with that noise and sparkle like I talked about, try lowering your filtering level down to whatever works best for you. It could be just lower because your CPU may not be as up to date as some others. Texture filter quality, we have this set to standard. You can put this on performance, but however, it will not give you much of a boost in game compared to quality balance between performance and balance. So I have this one currently set to standard. Surface format optimization disabled. Tessellation mode as use application settings. OpenGL triple buffering disabled, 10-bit pixel format disabled, and you can perform a restart on your shaders if you wish. Now over to the performance tab, we're going to go into tuning. Now if you have an AMD GPU and an AMD CPU, make sure you have AMD Smart Access Memory turned on, enabled. This will give you a huge performance boost in the game. So make sure you have AMD Smart Access Memory disabled. This is really important if you have both the AMD CPU and GPU. It will give you a massive performance boost. Turn it to enabled. Alright guys, that is everything for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of content uploads and live streams. We'll catch you on the next one.